Hello there, I'm Luke Edward Hall, and welcome to another bedtime story. I'm sure it's not your first. Tonight's story is called Sleeping Fruity. Are you sitting comfortably? Then I'll begin. Once upon a time, there lived the King and Queen of Londonia. The King and Queen of Londonia were the rulers over the largest kingdom in the world. They had millions of loyal subjects, over 100 million followers on Instagram. But even this didn't satisfy them. The thing they wanted more than anything was a child of their own. After what felt like a blink, he arrived, a strong, handsome prince who they called Edward. From Hammersmith to Hackney and beyond, celebrations erupted all over the kingdom. All the kingdom's subjects knew they would all get a lovely long bank holiday this weekend, and various members of the aristocracy and the fairy community gathered at the castle for an enormous party. The baby prince slept softly in his crib, and one by one, fairies from across the realm came to cast spells and bless his future. Handsomeness beyond comprehension, said Fairy Flora. A wise eye for colour and print, specifically on textiles, said Fauna. The party was going swimmingly until scary fairy Maleficent arrived. She'd had a bit of a reputation for trouble, and that night she'd had a bit too much wine. In 16 years he will prick his finger on a spinning wheel and die. Okay, maybe not die, but he will fall into a deep sleep from which he is only able to be awoken by true love's kiss. With an almighty crack of her wand, the curse was placed. Maleficent was immediately removed from the party by the royal bodyguards. "You bitch! Never come back," the protective queen shouted after her. 15 years later. Brought up by fairies Flora and Fauna in sunny Surreyford, the prince grew to be a fine young man, unaware of the terrible curse placed upon him at birth. Everyone in the village loved him for his kind heart and sweet ways. Hello? Yeah, it's story time. Yeah, it's 6 o'clock. You know it's story time. Okay, bye. Now, where were we? Everyone in the village loved him for his kind heart and sweet ways, and they were perpetually jealous of his colourful hand-spun shirts that he'd spend day after day designing and making. Prince Edward had found a sketchy-looking spinning wheel in his cottage attic, but had kept it a secret because his father thought that the time he spent spinning was time he should spend searching for a new queen. But in reality, the attic overlooked next door's farm, and each morning a dark and handsome man, always in tightly fitting joggers, would arrive to ride his horse. So why on earth would Edward spend his time anywhere else? On the morning of his 16th birthday, Edward was rushing to finish his bespoke birthday shirt before heading back to Londonia, as he did for his birthday every year. Spinning the wheel quicker than usual, his eyes unexpectedly met with the dark-haired strangers. Their gaze locked, but this distraction caused Edward's finger to slip and crash down onto the spinning wheel's sharp needle. "Ouch!" Edward cried, looking down at his now bleeding finger, breaking his gaze with the stranger. The stranger felt a strange pain in his finger that ran all the way to his heart. He knew it was something to do with the neighbour that watched him every morning. The prince's carriage to his birthday celebration was waiting, but the clouds overhead turned black and the temperature cold. Edward felt very tired all of a sudden. He scrambled on the finished shirt, mopped up the blood from the needle, and made his way to the carriage. The dark-haired stranger looked on at the carriage that raced down towards Londonia. He didn't know why exactly, but he knew for some reason he must follow. He saddled up his horse and set out in pursuit of the carriage, but due to the snow that had started to fall, he soon lost his way. By the time they had made it to Londonia, Edward had fallen into a deep sleep. Flora and Fauna were distraught. They were sure the king had destroyed every spinning wheel in the kingdom. How had this happened? A white blanket of snow covered the whole of Londonia. They placed Edward in his childhood bedroom at the castle and sent word to every corner of the earth that they were looking for Edward's true love to come back and break the curse. Lady after lady came to place a kiss upon Edward's lips, but he didn't even stir. 30 days and nights it took the handsome stranger to reach the castle. He didn't even know his neighbour was a prince until about day 25, but he eventually found his way to Edward. The room was cold and Edward lay still, surrounded by his worried family, who felt like they were losing hope. They were surprised to see the handsome stranger appear at the door. He introduced himself as Edward's best friend from Surreyford. However, overwhelmed at the sight of the prince, the handsome stranger couldn't hold back any longer. Ignoring the puzzled remarks from Edward's nearest and dearest, he leant over and kissed Edward passionately on the lips. To everyone's surprise and delight, the prince's eyes opened. Groggy, as he would be after a month-long nap, Edward stretched and stirred himself awake. His family were overwhelmed. "The curse is broken!" they exclaimed. Needless to say, the king and queen were relieved. They also felt slightly guilty for the heteronormative search for Edward's true love's kiss, but were overjoyed that in the end, love had conquered all. And so, Edward finally found out the name of the handsome stranger, and the two of them married a year later, and had lots of kids and dogs and swans. So I guess you could say they lived happily ever after. The end. Now it's time to go to sleep. I hope you'll join me again for another bedtime story soon. Sweet dreams.